Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high-level professional game of StarCraft 2. In the bottom left, spawning as the Red Protoss player, we'll have MaxPax, the Danish prince himself, playing a game here on Blackburn against, in the bottom right corner, spawning as the Blue Zerg, the Canadian Scarlett. The probe is going to actually get a block off on this initial hatchery that Scarlett wanted to place down, and we'll be heading into a 17 hatchery, very close to an 18 hatchery. Scarlett kind of laid there with that natural base on that third base location. MaxPax meanwhile is going to try and deny a little bit of this mining, and well, we'll see what his follow-up plan is going to be here. I wouldn't be surprised to see something along the lines of a Stargate opener, whether that's going to be double Stargate or single Stargate, yet remains to be seen. But MaxPax definitely is one to love a couple of Void Rays every now and again, so it wouldn't completely surprise me to just see a good old double Stargate into that fast fleet beacon, 3-4 Void Rays, and bam, there we go. It really is extremely common for MaxPax to play like that. I've seen him do that a lot. He loves these quick carrier builds, and then go for a bit of a push with Forge, with that Twilight. See what he can get done. And indeed, we will see what he will get done. Second gas now coming down as well. Scarlett already starts her Overlord, obviously, as this probe still is kind of going ham here. Trying to deny as much mining as possible. With the time that he has on the other side of the map, we'll steal a couple of minerals and head back home. Pretty okay start here for both players. Kind of what we're expecting, right? We're expecting a hatch block. We see the Adept start, no Warp Gate yet. Scarlett well aware of that, seeing the fact that the Cybernetics core isn't spinning. For the people that aren't aware, of course, at the moment Warp Gate starts, we will see in a moment from now, these things will start spinning like their life depends on it. There's a little researching animation, which is rather obvious, honestly. Oh, we're not seeing it. Hello? Can we start the Warp Gate, perhaps, MaxPax? He's kind of forgetting about it. I mean, he easily has the money. Just isn't using it. Okay, there we go. Now we see these things just glow up and this thing starts spinning. So yeah, it's a rather obvious animation, in my opinion. Scarlett, of course, well aware of that. Sees the timing that it started. And from there now it should be capable of figuring out what the abilities or the capabilities of MaxPax are here. What will the first Twilight timing be after this Stargate? Is there a chance that this is a robo-opener? Technically, there's still a chance of that. We've only really ruled out the Twilight Council opener, but Scarlett knows that this 99% of the time is just going to be Stargate. Start sending away that Overlord as soon as she can. And this might actually give that Overlord freedom. Because, well, freedom, I'm not sure if it's freedom if you're going to be locked in the top left corner of the map. But at least it won't die against a Void Ray. Or well, so I hope for that Overlord. As this Void Ray is got very close to the Overlord, not quite getting it. And now MaxPax needs to kind of guess where the Overlord went. It can either have gone over here, but what's the chance of that? Or it's going back home, or maybe towards this middle base. So there's a lot of areas which MaxPax kind of needs to scout out in order to kill that Overlord, and he's not going to be capable of doing just that. Oracle does make its way out on the map. This Ling, well-positioned Ling out of Scarlett, will spot the movement of the Oracle, and then the 3 Lings in the middle also spot the Oracle moving towards the top side, and immediately Scarlett will start positioning herself. I love this this Void Ray move out. So what this does is this forces a queen from the natural, or the queens from the... Well, this technically is the natural, but it's a third base location. It forces the queens away from there to go and defend this Void Ray, make sure it doesn't get any Overlords. That's exactly what ends up happening here. That opens up the capability for MaxPax to try and take out a couple of drones. He took out one and got a Revelation on. Takes out a second one. And a Creep Tumor also is going to get blasted here. Fourth base is pretty fast for Scarlett. She wants to get it down as soon as she can, of course. So you have a second Stargate, +1 air weapons, as well as our... Is this our second Void Ray only just now? I think that is indeed our second Void Ray. So, not going too big on that Void Ray count as of yet. And MaxPax is going to start moving across the map. with these units once again. We'll see a revelation. Gets 3 tumors for the price of 1 revelation. That's a good deal. That is the type of deal we'd probably see described in a book called Art of the Deal, which MaxPax has invented as well, the Art of the Deal. He only takes good deals. Never a bad deal in his life. he wouldn't revelate for just 2 tumors, would he? No. 3 or nothing. That's what he does. Second Void Ray is going to make its way across the map. We do have the 3rd Stargate. So this is kind of what I was alluding to in the early game. He likes this build order a lot. It allows him to get these 6 carrier pushes going, which are just mightily powerful. It's just so powerful. Scarlett has not been building too many queens yet. There's 3 more on the way, so she will get up to 10. Infestation Pit is fast. Oh, wow. That indeed is a very fast Infestation Pit. 7 more drones as well, and 3 more queens coming in as well. Robo Bay is on the way here for MaxPax. So MaxPax does want to remain somewhat safe with that Robo Bay and saying, okay, in case of a mid-game queen push, queen roach, queen, or just pure queen, queen infestor, whatever it's going to be, I want to be capable of building a couple of disruptors to deal with those queens specifically. And I think that's a wise call here. You see these 4 Void Rays still flying around, like they own the map. Now, of course, they don't own the map, but they do have a lot of force with them. And they can at least try to take out a couple of queens, maybe harass a little bit, deal some damage wherever they can. These 2 adepts are going to kill 2 workers, and now we'll start getting cleaned up by these links. 3 workers, well, it's about an even trade. I'd be okay with that if I was a Protoss. I'd be okay with that if I was a Zerg as well. I like this scouting here out of MaxPax. Sees the fact that this Infestation Pit is already bopping his head up and down. Like a man in the 80s in a disco. Just bopping it up and down. Nothing else. First 2 carriers are also out. 3rd carrier is slightly lacking behind. And there's no cash for carrier 4 and 5. So the gases here haven't been taken yet. MaxPax immediately wants to start saturating these. Twilight Council on the way, so we have the Spire done as well. And we're heading into a mid-game situation in which I believe MaxPax feels very at home. I'm not too sure about Scarlett. I don't know what she thinks about this type of opener. How she feels about the air tools. She used to be extremely good with infestors. But the times they are changing, and maybe she doesn't feel as great anymore. I'm not quite sure. This is an aggressive move out here from MaxPax, feeling very confident in his ability to read this game, knowing that there's no corruptors. He's indeed right. That first disruptor shot is going to hit a single infestor. There is a microbial shroud, but a bunch of these infestors are taking a lot of damage. Disruptor gets taken out, and the queens will be capable of pushing this back. 2 Void Rays go down. A lot of these interceptors also being taken out. We have the Oracle kind of going ham here in the top right corner. 107 drones though for Scarlett. She's going up to 110 drones. That is a crap ton of drones. Greater Spire as well as a normal Spire being built once again. Of course, once you mutate one, you kind of want to get a second one, so you can do double upgrades after the mutation is done. The Greater Spire will allow for Brute Lords to be built, which could be very useful if someone was planning on doing some type of Archon push. However, MaxPax doesn't really seem to be too keen on doing an Archon push, and it's just steadily expanding without having any real pretense of wanting to build a ground force. He's now getting a couple of Templar. As there's no Storm yet, I guess it's going to be 3 Archons. In that case, the Broodlords are going to come in handy. We have 11 Corruptors on the way. It's a weird number. Well, it's an odd number, really. For 2 reasons. First of all, it's not even. And second of all, it's 11 and not 13. With 13 Corruptors, you can 2-shot most air units with the Corruptors. Or, well, all air units, really. Well, 1-shot some of them, but the important ones. So I'm surprised. Oh, she's morphing a bunch into brutes immediately. So she's afraid of that push. And doesn't quite have the guts yet to go straight into that higher corruptor count, because she's afraid she might just die to this push here. There's a lot of queens, and as there's no storm or disruptors in this army, these queens will be very useful. Microbial Shroud also is going to play a major role in this fight. The queens will have a little more survivability. Target fire of the carrier should be on the Broodlords, but it's not quite. And this honestly was an okay fight here for Scarlett. Look at that. Resources lost in favor of Scarlett right now. The spine wall in the, what is this, the 5th base is defending. The main base has been breached, but these are zealots with only 1 attack upgrade. So I don't think they should be capable of doing too much once these 2-1 roaches are going to show up. Sure, they might kill a spore here and there, force the drones to be pulled away, but that really is going to be all there is to that little fight, to that little engagement. No Viper being in this army is not only confusing but also bad. With a Viper there definitely would be the ability to abduct a couple of these carriers into the queens, and if you can make a move like that work a couple of times over, the carrier count will start to dwindle. Microbial Shroud once again is being used. This is an odd sight, seeing this many queens just trying to chase these carriers. Broodlords are staying alive. You know, some target fire on top of these infestors, but the control out of Scarlett is just superb today. Keeping these infestors alive. I think she kept all of the brutes alive as well. Has she even lost one yet? She's lost a single Broodlord in this game. Let's take a look at the units lost. This definitely is in favor of Scarlett, and that's impressive because this is the phase where the TOS army tends to be the absolute best. The reason why the TOS army is the absolute best is because at this point the worker count is still very high for the Zerg, often. They're still mining a crap ton, they want to be getting a lot of gas while increasing their spore wall as well. And then eventually Zerg will rapidly go down into 40, 50-ish drones and get a big old army here. There's a lot of Broodlords being built right now. How many was that? That's 4 more? Okay, we're going up to 10 Broodlords. But it does mean that our Corruptor count has gone down by a fair amount as well. There is 2 Vipers on the map for now. Can we get a couple of Neurals? Do we even have Neural? There's no Neural Parasite on these infestors. That is a little bit surprising to me, honestly. That is extremely surprising. Look at that control with the Transfuser. That's so good. Once again, a very fruitful effort here for Scarlett, who is going to get the better end of another trait. Now Tempest, Blink, Storm, and Mothership, and +2 ground attack are on the way. I'm surprised we haven't seen Neural yet. When the Archon count is, as it is, quite large, I always feel like Neural is such a useful tool to have. You use the Broodlords to initially push away the Templar, then you just Neural the Archons, and there's no way that these Archons are going to be set free in any way, shape, or form. They'll start attacking Interceptors, Void Rays, and Carriers. And of course also function a little bit as a meat shield for your queens. Because Archons do attack air, and sometimes the Protoss wants to kill those Archons because they're doing so much damage. I love this little prism here. Wouldn't mind if the Corruptors show up as well though. Yep, there we go. What is the Corruptor count at currently? We have 11 Corruptors, 2 Vipers, 2 more Corruptors on the way. And the upgrades are steadily improving here for Scarlett, who is now about to see her 2-2 finish, +2 Carapace, as well as Flyer attacks. These Corruptors are becoming rather tanky, and when it comes to the damage output also will have a decent amount. See, MaxPax is starting to split off a little Void Ray squad here. Doesn't completely surprise me, I do like that. This is a difficult map though to multitask on, because it's such a straightforward split through the middle type of map, that I often feel like this map kind of favors Zerg a bit when it comes to the late game, because there's no real tricks that the Protoss can play, or if they can, it is very difficult to do. Broodlords now are moving forward. We have 10 of them, 13 Corruptors, 6 Infestors, 13 Queens and 2 Vipers here. We'll have to wait and see if Scarlett actually wants to push through this choke. It would surprise me, because the area in which the Queens can walk without being completely slowed to almost 0 speed isn't that large. Like, you have these big balls of slow zones, which are just going to be frustrating to push through. Tempest right now are pushing these spores back. Yeah, I'm not surprised we see kind of this type of retreat. Now, The other side also, of course, is true. If you put your spores over here, then the Tempest, in order to shoot the spores, need to most likely move into that slow zone. And it makes it sort of a natural buffer between the defender and the aggressor, whoever that defender or aggressor might be right at that moment. MaxPax is starting to sacrifice a couple of his workers here, as Scarlett is aggressively spreading creep, and perhaps is trying a bit of a spore rotation here towards the middle. I wouldn't mind it, personally, to see a lot of these spores. Yeah, this is very good. See a bunch of these spores just moving straight to the middle, and having the potential not only to start maybe pushing this base, or even start pushing this high ground, but also to start securing this topside base, and making sure that MaxPax doesn't take this bottom. The 12 and the 6 o'clock are going to be essential in this game, if you want to win. Because these are the key to outmining your opponent. And it seems like the person that needs these the most right now is going to be MaxPax, as he's been losing the majority of the trades. He's down 5k in resources lost, with the army value being at about 15k a person. That is 1/3 of the current army. There's a good feedback there on the Viper. As the Viper gets taken out. I don't think we... Okay, we still have 2 Vipers left. Yeah. Parasitic Bomb, of course, a very potent tool in dealing with Protoss air armies. We'll see if Scarlett is going to be capable of getting that Parasitic Bomb off. Whether it's going to be on the carrier or on a couple of Tempest, it will be useful. Yeah, once again, this push just a little bit awkward here. Infestor's trying to move forward, but there still is a slow zone there. So we have the Spore Wall up here. We have a quad Void Ray squad. It's going to start attacking this Spore. We'll take it down and then go to work on the hatchery as the Corruptors and Vipers are moving in that direction. In a defensive position here, though, I think that Scarlett should be fine. Once again, Neural Parasite here would be extremely useful. Definitely would have been capable of getting some of these Archons, as these Void Rays take out a hatchery, but they have to pay for it. And hatcheries apparently don't come cheap anymore these days, as 3 Void Rays go down. Once again, a net positive trade here for Scarlett. Scarlett with the superior trades, still up about 5k in that unit lost. A couple of links are being built as well now, and Scarlett has been pretty calm when it comes to the run-bys. And that could change right now. It really could. This Ling Bane has the potential to blow up this entire cannon line and deny the mining on this base. It's so difficult for the Protoss to properly split up this army when you have this many air units. And the Ling Bane is such a quick rotational force that can just attack any type of angle so easily that I'd be a little bit shocked here if Scarlett's gonna let this live. Yeah, she won't. Look at these adrenal glands links as well. Absolutely ham on these workers. And this is not a base that MaxPax really was planning on losing. This is a base that he really needs to keep going. He is already expanding to the 6 o'clock, and this is an issue for 2 reasons. 1, this makes this base, this top side, a little less important. And 2, it's going to perfectly split the map in half. On top of that, Scarlett also isn't aware of that, which makes it even more painful. This is an easy to deny base with Brood Lords very often. If you have a couple of spores here and you can kill that, that is absolutely huge. Taking out these rocks would be a big plus already as well, because that leaves it open for future Ling run-bys, as we now have a continuous force of Lings just kind of trying to fight these Zealots. And of course, Lings trade extremely well against Zealots once the adrenal glands and all of these upgrades are out. MaxPax at the same time doesn't really have the upgrades that Scarlett has. We don't have any shield upgrades, no armor upgrades. We have a 5 Broodlord run-by at this point, as MaxPax's worker count has dwindled to a mere 41. Not inherently bad, but in the situation that we find ourselves in, not ideal for sure. I would not be completely happy with 40 workers at this point. 55, perhaps closer to 60 here, as you still need to first mine that top base. And once that top base is fully mined out, we can move down to 40 workers and we can mine this bottom side and this proper 6 o'clock. But as long as this base is alive, 55 workers I think is a very reasonable worker count, as otherwise you're just going to be slacking and lacking in income. Slacking behind, but also just lacking for your own needs. And the moment a single fight gets taken at this point, I'm having a difficult time seeing how MaxPax would win that fight. And even if he would win that fight, he needs to win it rather convincingly, because he's down about 4k in bank. Now eventually, surely he's going to mine all of the bases, but he still needs to get somewhat cost-efficient trades. And it doesn't matter if you can get money in the future if you die before you get to the future. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Staying alive always has the priority over monetary gain in the future. Especially in StarCraft 2. This Prism is trying to head into the main base of Scarlett, but with these spores there, I feel like this is a bit of a useless expedition, honestly. Even if it gets in here, which most certainly it will. Not. I'm glad I didn't end that sentence when I thought I should. Even if that would get in and get the warping, you have these Link Bane counts that could respond so quickly to these types of threats and trade extremely efficiently that unless you have Archons in this type of a prism, I don't actually think it's worth it at this point. I really don't believe so. This map is super easy for Zerg to defend, and it's also really hard for TOS to defend at the same time. You need a secondary ground army to be capable of dealing with this. Look at that bank just growing here for Scarlett, as the difference in resources lost also is increasing. We're already at, well, what is this? 8,000 at this point. And every single time we have one of them trades, this is starting to look better and better for Scarlett. Good feedback there on that Infestor, making sure that it couldn't get the fungal. As this Prism is heading to greener pastures. A couple of Banelings are rolling into this gold base. And this gold base still has some minerals. Okay, this is like 1,500 minerals that are free for the taking here. Don't forget that killing cannons, especially if they have to be rebuilt, can be a very cost-efficient use of Zerglings. Zerglings, with these upgrades, trade well against cannons, especially if the cannons don't have shield upgrades. And that's exactly what's happening here. And if you can force your opponent to continuously be building these cannons and then killing them for a cost-efficient at a cost-efficient rate, that is also good. We have Scarlett moving forward right now with these Vipers. Look at the transfusion. Her control is absolutely phenomenal this game. MaxPax throws forward a Disruptor. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. We were very close to getting the Abductal Net Mothership there. There's no Overseers here with this army. Oh no, Scarlett. Is this how you want to fight? I'm not sure if it is. We do see that Parasitic Bomb being cast on the Mothership. Corruptors are not flying in it though, but I don't even think it's going to matter. The fight started so poor for Scarlett, but once the Corruptors finally showed up, she just absolutely is taking this one home as well. Good transfuses coming down, Infestor still running behind. They have the Neural Parasite, they have the potential for the Fungal, and we have 21 new Corruptors in production. Scarlett wants to be pushing forward, but I don't think she needs to yet. She can wait for her next burst of Corruptors, but apparently she can also just keep going as the Broodlords and the Queens, the backbone of this army, are pushing through the cannons. The Corruptors now wanting to move forward, trying to take out as many of these Tempest and these Void Rays as they can. The Corruptor count has dwindled, at least the Corruptor count at the front, and now the reinforcement does arrive. And as always, the Cavalry comes exactly at the time where they are required to show up. It's the same with these Corruptors, as these Tempest, Carriers and Voiders are getting shot out of the sky. Another Fungal lands as well. And with the Queens as support, I just don't really see a way here for MaxPax to take a big fat dub in this game. Scarlett's chasing this Void Ray all the way home, above the shield battery, above cannons, but it's just not going to matter. GG gets called, and Scarlett wins an exciting late game here on Blackburn against MaxPax. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you had a brilliant time. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.